welcome back to another Nelson All Over live stream. Today we are talking about Gencon. We are going in depth and walking through the hall and then talking about what happened at Gencon. Gencon was a absolute blast. It started about last a week ago today, actually. Yeah, so I had my first event last week today, which was last Wednesday, and it went through Sunday, and it was so much, so chaotic, and so wonderful all at the same time. But I did a stream similar to this after the PAX. I think it was PAX. Hey, Pure Bones. Yo, good afternoon. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. How you doing? So I did a stream like this after PAX where I just kind of conversationally talked about what was going on and then walked through all the games that I brought home. And so I'm excited to do that. We're going to be flipping back and forth between the top down. We may do some openings and discussion, but yeah. Fodder, thank you for the subscription. You are a wonderful person. You're great. Thank you so very much. Hope you're doing wonderful. Alrighty, so let's just talk about what Gen Con, the chaos of Gen Con. So there were so many events, and if you have not been to Gen Con, it's the largest gaming convention in North America. I don't know if we've gotten full numbers for this year, but I think if I had to put the over under, if I was creating a betting system and I had to put the over under, I put the over under around 80,000 people. And so it was significant. It felt like it was back to kind of that pre-COVID levels of attendance, which was both wonderful and a little bit anxiety inducing all at the same time, because there were crowds and it was very packed and it was a lot. Hey White Wolf, how's it going? Welcome. Hope you're doing well. And it all kind of started out right there on Thursday morning. So the big release of Gen Con this year was Disney's Lorcana, which is the new trading card game by Ravensburger. And it was bananas how popular it was and how many people were going for it. And so to start out on Thursday, and also I'm still getting over a little bit of my like con crud, so apologize if I'm coughing. Hey, Silent. So many people this year. It was craziness. It was just, oh my gosh, it was crazy. Doing good. Hope you had fun at Gen Con. I did. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. But that it was wonderful except for that first day. That first day on Thursday morning, everybody was going for Lorcana. And so kind of what had happened is people started lining up. I think I had heard people were getting there around 3 a.m. for the 10 a.m. Door open. So about 3 a.m. to get in line to buy Lorcana. And then around 8 a.m. some employee, I'm not quite sure who, I think it was a Gen Con employee, deconstructed the line that people were lining up for. And that was not I think a good call or a safe call, because then when the doors opened, it was a mad rush to the Ravensburger booth. And I mean, like, I'm a big guy. Like I'm tall, I'm big, and like I didn't feel super safe in that crowd. I mean, like there were times where I did not control the fact that I was moving. It felt like it could. I think we were fortunate that it did not get any worse. But I got in the line, and basically what happened is the Ravensburger booth was right inside the door, and I got pushed into like this aisle, and then I went around the Ravensburger booth all the way out, back out into the hallway where they had set up turnstiles, and I got in line. Unfortunately, there were people there was somebody in line behind me who got in line at 5:30 in the morning, which goes to show just like how unconstructed that line was. And then I sat and did not move for about 2 hours. So I lined up around 8 a.m. and I checked out at 12:30. So I did get a box. However, at that time, if no one's trampled to get a game, is it really worth getting? Yeah, yeah, right, yeah, right. So I went, and what they were doing is they would clip your badge here if you bought Lorcana. And so it was a limit one per attendee or one per badge, I guess. And so they would clip it. However, since I didn't have, they it was kind of a craziness, whatever. But if since they ran out of everything except for boosters before I got there, they didn't actually clip me on the first day. And so instead, what I did is I got the badge. I was able to get a booster box. And then on Saturday, I lined up again. I lined up with one of my friends, Boardgame, who's been on the channel before. And we got there around 6:45. And I will say that they significantly remedied the situation. They made it much better because they started lining everybody up. A line started forming at 6 p.m. the previous day, and they allowed them to have turnstiles, and it was just a much more organized line. It was much better. And so I got back in line. I was able to got there around 6:45, and then I checked out at about 11:30. And at that point I was able to get all of the, let me see if I can just grab them. Where did I put them? Yeah. So I was able to get all of the booster pack, or the starter decks. So there were 3 starter decks that they were selling. And since they did not clip the badge, I also got another booster box. And so I was able to grab multiple booster boxes, and so I was really happy about that. Let me catch up on chat. Beast, no, I'll come next time and we'll stand our ground. 2 big guys, immovable objects. We could try. I'm telling you, it was intense. It was like, I have been in one my favorite type of music is hardcore music. I love going to concerts, and I have been in a significant number of what we would probably consider dangerous mosh pits, and that, I think, was more frightening than some of those mosh pits that I've been in. The gameplay seems all right. Not all that much player interaction. I can just not do the Disney adult thing. The theme just turns me off, but each their own. Do you think there's going to be more of a collect CCG than actual play CCG? Fodder, I think that is the question everyone is asking. And so I'm thinking that this is, here's my box, by the way. Also, before I answer that, I did a unboxing TikTok, and I didn't know how to unbox this. I just hit record and I just started going for it. And like, there's this, like, what I thought was the pull tab up here, when actually it's down here. And so I like did this and like opened the box the wrong way, and people went insane. Like, people, I got so many comments like, what are you doing on it? And like, I kind of think it kind of helped the video, because it went not viral, but like, it's my second most viewed video on TikTok ever now. And I think it's mostly just people like, what are you doing to that box? And so now next time, the next box that I open, I'm just gonna like rip it from the sides or something, just to kind of be fun. But yeah, so that's why it's all weird. Anyways, so I think that the gameplay was pretty solid. So the gameplay is meant to bring new people into card games. And so the gameplay is very, the rule set is simplistic. I don't necessarily think the strategy is simplistic. The rule set is very easy to pick up on. Basically, not every card, but most cards can be inked, which is kind of their version of lands in Magic. And so let me just pull out some cards here. This is one of the starter decks. So up here in the top corner, if it has this little flourish around the cost, it's considered an inkable card, which means that you can put it in your inkwell and then you can use it as one resource on future turns. Whereas like this card cannot be placed into your inkwell. Now, on your turn, you can do that one time, and then you can do any actions in any order. And so it's a very simplistic rule set, really easy to kind of get into. But I can see how that could be a turn off for some of the more experienced gamers. What? New card game? Yeah, right? Same recourse style as the new Star Wars Unlimited. Yes. It is very similar to Star Wars Unlimited in that sense. Nelson is about to show us the Deadpool pack. No, I wish I had the Deadpool pack. I wish I had it. But I did get to Oh my goodness, this stream is going to be chaotic. I did get to talk to Tony after because he was there running events for champions, and so after they dropped Deadpool, I was able to go talk to him and talk to him about it a little bit. It was fun. I think the Deadpool pack is fantastic. My my Deadpool preview video is going to be posted in about 46 minutes, and so it's posting at 11. But yeah, so pretty simple rule set, easy to get into, and I think that is what they were going for. That being said, I think they have laid an incredible base, and they can take this game into a much more in-depth play style just because of how simple the rules are, but then also how easy it will be to expand it into a more complex system. That being said, I know that the theme can turn some people off. The theme to me increases it for me. I like this. I love Disney. I'm not going to say I like Disney. I really love Disney. And I feel like a kid again opening all these packs. It's so I mean I'm having a ton of fun with this. I've only played it. I played it about 3 times at the con. I played it twice at Gamma earlier this year. I know that the Capstone's Game Store, which is right next to me, is running a event on the 18th. I don't think I'm going to be able to go to that one because that is when the new box for Marvel Champions is going to be announced or released, and I'm going to be doing a lot of streams on that. But they're going to plan on doing Saturday events, and I hope to be doing that. But yeah, it was really good. I actually do want to open a pack. So I have been saving these packs, and I have not been opening them. I've been kind of treating them as a little they're like a little treat for myself. Whenever I accomplish something, I get to go open a pack. But let's open a pack. And so the pack has the foil card. This is kind of a full art Mickey that you can collect. But the cards are, there's commons, uncommons, rares, super rares, legendaries, and then enchanted. And enchanted, so some of your packs for $100. that was insane, Brands. Hey, how's it going? The people were going and spending an absurd amount of money on these cards. It was crazy. Like, people are reselling these booster boxes for $400 or $500 each. I have played Brands. Yeah, I like the gameplay. I like the gameplay a lot. So I played it at Gamma, and then I also I played it 3 times at Gencon. And then I'm hoping to get more. I've already have a store that's close to me that is going to be running events that I plan on going to. Silent Out, you have an iron will, sir. I would have cracked all those packs 5 minutes after buying the box. Oh my goodness, you have no idea. You also don't really care for the Marvel theme, and I play that all the time. Maybe I'm just a grumpy old. Nice. Played twice last week. What do you think, Brent? The only thing I hope for is the power creep won't approach something like you see in Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if it will. I know that they have a really, really solid, like, I hope not either. I hope not either. I think if I'm remembering my Yu-Gi-Oh correctly, I think that there's a little bit better of a balance system in here because there are 6 different factions. And then, so like these are the 6 different factions. So each one of these are dual factions. You can include up to 2 factions in each one of your decks. And whereas Yu-Gi-Oh is any card under the sun. So I think that they have a little bit more levers to pull to mitigate balance issues. And so, but yeah, so anatomy of a card, cost up here. This is their attack, and then their health here. And then this is what they quest for. The other thing that's really appealing to me about this game is that it's not a I'm attacking you and trying to take down your life points. It is we are in a race to 20 willpower or 20 lore points. So on your turn, you can exert this card to do a new number of things. You can attack an already exerted character. So that's another thing that I really like is that if you are ready, there's very few game mechanics that can interact with it. However, if you're exerted, you're ready at the start of your next turn, and so if you're exerted, you're vulnerable to attacks. So you can attack a or challenge is what it's called, a already exerted character. You can exert to get lore or your willpower. There's too many game mechanics that are going all through my head now. So that's like a character. You can also exert it to sing a song. There are action cards called songs, and you can sing with a character and play the action card, the song card, for free as long as your card as long as your character costs more or equal to that song. So if you had a song that costs 4, I could exert Pongo and have Pongo sing that song for free. Cards not being able to be attacked unless exerted is a pretty cool mechanic. Yeah, I really like it. It's a very non-stressful game, and I think that is where it's going to. That's where it appeals to me, and I think that's where it's going to appeal to a lot of new TCG players. I like it. I will play it as well. Best of 3. It's a bit prone to top decking without planning ground. I will say that I think the starter sets are kind of, they don't have enough card draw. And I think card draw, just like in Magic, because you're drawing one card every single turn, you get into top decking a lot with these decks. So, but I mean, they teach well. So we got Pongo, Simba, Bodyguard. So Bodyguard is effectively, you have to attack the Bodyguard character first. The Wardrobe, Aladdin, Merlin, Prince Eric. And I've started opening it like this because the rarity symbol is down here, and so you can pull up and you can see that this is, the next card is going to be an uncommon, so it adds a little suspicion to me. So Prince Eric, Reflection, Flynn, and there's always going to be 2 rare or higher cards. It's definitely not solely, oh yeah, absolutely, it is not solely for kids at all. So this is a rare card. We got Maui. So now you can see it's starting to get pretty big. I will say I don't necessarily, the rare legendary cards are better, but I don't think that they're that much better. And so that's kind of exciting. Oh, we got a secret rare card here with Mickey. Nice. Oh, I actually have the alt art for this. And then we've got another secret rare holo for Hans. So that's actually a really good pull right there. I'm happy with that. And so each one of them has a holo. The holo can be any rarity type. And so I want to show you this. Announced in the, during the, like right when they started selling it at 10 a.m. on Thursday, that there was a new rarity that they had not previously announced called Enchanted. And it's alt art full holo foil. And so I actually got to pull one. The rarity pulls in these, each one of these boxes has 24 packs. The rarity of these is about 1 in every 4 boxes. So 1 in every, that's what I've read. It's about 1 in every 4 boxes. And so I actually got this. Each one of these starter decks has a pack. I actually was able to pull this from from one of the starter deck packs. I actually didn't even get it on film either. I was just like, I'm gonna open one right before bed, and then I pulled this. But I'm really happy with this. This is fun. But yeah, no, I think Lorcana is definitely a game that people will enjoy from all ages. I think, it'll have the Pokemon appeal of collection as well as the appeal to some players to play. If anything hurts it, I think it's going to be allocation. I think the allocation numbers have been pretty rough. Now, I don't know how the allocation for the big box stores, because it's being sold in everything like Target, Walmart, all the way to like Best Buy. And so GameStop has it. So there are stores that are selling it, but I do wonder if the game stores are gonna have a hard time selling it. Some of the rarer cards can be game enders. Red Mulan, 7 cost Aladdin are strong to finish. Yeah. Hey, Dr. Nate, how's it going? You will not convince me to get into a CCG. That's a money trap. I will not. And I think that is absolutely fair. That's one of the other things. I do want to, I want to play it. I want to have content on the channel about it, but I do understand, and I am trying to be very cognizant of people who do not want to get into TCGs or CCGs, and I don't want to try and push people into that, where I will kind of, facetiously push people into LCGs and stuff. But I think TCGs, like, there is a line that people can draw, and I think that I will respect that line. I'm not going to try and push any of these TCGs on people, because I think that it can be addicting, and I am totally fine with that. How long did you wait in line for Lorcana, Dr. Nate? So on Thursday, I was there from 8 a.m. I checked out at 12:30, and then I did not get everything I wanted, so I went back on Saturday. I got in line at 6:45, checked out at 11:30. So I spent, what is that, like 10 hours, 11 hours in line for Lorcana? The portal went MSRP, and we sold out already with pre-orders. Yeah, I know Capstone Games is not doing. I don't think they're doing pre-orders. They're just doing a first come first serve, limit one per customer. My group decided to go for Star Wars Unlimited. That will be the first go into the misery of CCGs. Ever since we played, I've been brainstorming deck construction. I agree with you that the big cards are good, but are they worth it? I would love to test a deck of just 3 4 cost cards so you don't feel hamstrung by all the inking cards. Yeah, yeah, and as I've been okay, I'm gonna show you all this because I feel like a little kid now, like with Pokemon cards. But I've been going through and like putting these in binders, and so I've been like looking through all the cards as we're going and like just reading them, and there's a lot of strategies, especially because you get to pick two different factions and figure out how those interact. I do think that the very strong strategy feels like those like 3 4 cost cards are going to be good, especially, and then if you can like anchor it with a couple of those higher cost cards, I think that's going to be right where we want to land. Uh, did I play any other games at Gen Con that you enjoyed? Hey, Fish. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I did, and we're gonna talk about it on this stream. I didn't mean you personally, but you play what you want. I'll watch. It just meant in general. Like, oh yeah. Totally. Totally. Did you get the promos or starters or boosters? I got all the starters. I got 2 booster boxes, and then I did get the promos. Where are the promos? So that's the other thing is that they were handing out promos. Oh, let's go top down. They're handing out these Mickey promos. So they are actually a card in the game. This is not a unique card, but they do have like the Gen Con stamp promo here. And so people were selling these for crazy amounts of money. It was crazy, but I'm just like I understand the appeal to resell all of this, but I'm like I want it. Like I want it. It's fun. It works well silent, not as consistent as you would think, but that's viable. Yeah, I do think that like the sapphire with or I'm sorry, no, the amethyst with purple seems really strong with all the card draw, and then the sapphire being able to ink. I want to try an amethyst sapphire deck. Let's talk about other games. Um, um, you just wasted so much money on Tales of Middle Earth, and Doctor Who is coming out in 2 months. Plus, you need solo mode. If yeah, I would love a solo mode for these. That'd be so good. Alrighty, let's talk about a board game. Let's go to top down. Let's look at Express Route. There were other games there. Yeah, right. No, I don't think there were. I don't think there was. Um, White Wolf. Quick thought about FFG mentioning a new expansion for a Star Wars deck building game next year. I'm excited for it. I think that game is just extremely expandable, and so I'm all for it. I will support Caleb with pretty much anything he does. So yeah. Does each color have one thing its main draw, or is it for using in its deck? Yeah. So like the steel, the gray faction is all like it's kind of like green in Magic. It's big monsters, big attack, go big. And then there's just a like Amethyst is kind of the Magic. It has like some really cool effects, but really I think Amethyst, from what I've seen so far, does a lot with like mitigate or like determining what you're going to be drawing into. So there's just blue or sapphire, instead of like playing cards into your inkwell like you would normally do, there are some like blue cards that get cards into your inkwell outside of just the standard inking a card. And so yeah, they all play a little bit differently, and I think so much of the fun is figuring out the combos that you got there. Darth Raven, a guy in the Discord sold 2 of those Mickey promos and enchanted Elsa for like $1,700. Yeah, I mean, people are crazy right now with how much I didn't mean that people are crazy. It is crazy how much people are paying for these cards. Like I think the first enchanted, I saw an enchanted sold for $2,000 just for the card. The first Mickey that sold was $1,200 for the card, and it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm really excited for the gameplay, so I'm just kind of hanging on to the cards. I did get a somewhere. I actually do have a misprint card too, so that was kind of fun. It's a square cut where the corners aren't rounded. So apparently that's something that people look for. But yeah, it's a really cool. I've been enjoying the game. Okay, so Express Route. If you watched my Origins recap, you saw this. I like my yacht too. I like my yacht too much to buy Lorcana cards. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, one Lorcana card keeps that yacht running for a month. Oh my gosh. Alrighty. So if you saw my Origins recap, you saw me talk about Express Route. This is the new game from the op where it's a cooperative kind of pick up and deliver game. And so the idea around it is that you are controlling these buses and trying to deliver packages to different locations on the map. You also have an airplane that can travel between airport hubs, and um, the best gimmick in the game is that you win whenever you deliver 8 packages. However, you can get 4 free packages. The last 2 packages have some sort of qualifier for those packages. So like this one says it has to have an odd demand, or another one would be like same demand values. So you have to get 2 of them that are the same demand values. But you also use these packages, you effectively spend these packages to buy your upgrades. And so the upgrades in the deck are in the game are you can store more packages, or you can move more packages, or you get a special battery where you can do this same action twice in a row. It seems like it's a game that I plan on streaming. I'm hoping to maybe get a stream in. Let's make this pretty. Maybe get a stream in this game next week. I really liked it. I will say that I think it probably is going to thrive as like a solo or a 2-player game. Now, mainly because there's not any hidden information, and I do think that it could lead itself to alpha gaming. But in a solo game, you are the alpha gamer, and so it works in that sense. But there's a lot of different events that you get to do. There's a lot of different like strategies where you're taking your 3 actions by placing these batteries, and you're moving the blue, the orange, or the yellow bus up to 3, 1, or 2 spaces. So those are some of the upgrades that you can play. You can say, I'm going to buy this upgrade and increase the range of my blue bus by 1. And so now whenever I activate my blue bus, I get to move it an additional space. And so now you're working as the team to try and figure out what's the most effective way to get all of these all over the map, deliver them to the right spots before you're basically you thread out. It feels like Lord of the Rings in that sense. Beast Snow, that's why I don't like about CCGs, TCGs. I say that, but I'm trying to track some boxes down for L5R, and people are selling them for $300. Right. Okay, so this threat track over here, this is kind of your game loss or game in condition. Basically, you have packages that you have to put out every single round, and based on the packages, you'll increase your threat counter here. Basically, how much demand is on the map at any time. So if you ever end your round or your turn, I don't actually quite remember, above the red or above this little lock symbol, you lose the game. And so if I add a package, it drops me up here. As soon as I deliver the package, it pulls me back down. And so now you're trying to have this push and pull, and based on where you are in the demand track, it determines how many you have to put out. So there's a lot more, like if you drop like two like high demand, they're gonna jump higher, and you have to make sure and get all hands on deck to deliver that package. Silent, I became a lot more interested in the game after you mentioned it playing it solo. When I demoed it, it didn't feel like a co-op. Yep, that's my biggest critique of the game, is that I do think that if you have an alpha gamer at the table, then it will lend itself to the alpha gaming. Now I know that there's the whole conversation around, is alpha gaming a game or a group issue? Either way that you think about it, it's an issue. And like I know that I had played it one time where there's a player at the table who pretty much just ran my turn for me. The answer is yes, it's both. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I like it when a game can um, reduce the amount of, or reduce the temptation of alpha gaming, but I also think that alpha gamers shouldn't alpha game. So it is both. I like that fodder. But yeah, I plan on doing this solo on stream, and you play like multiple handed, and I think that's gonna be just a really fun like logic puzzle to not logic puzzle, but a really fun logistic puzzle to figure out because you're commanding all of this and you're just trying to deliver packages. I showed this to my wife who works for UPS, and she's like, "That just sounds like work. Like I don't want to do that." It's definitely a groove issue in your opinion. Yeah, and like that's fair. I think that there are people who um are just much better at being able to negate alpha gaming. I've played with people who are just really good at that, and basically the best way that I've seen people handle that is instead of saying what to do, I've seen the players say these are your options. And since it's a co-op game, and if you're an alpha gamer, you have to be okay with losing, because I would much rather lose the game and have every player have autonomy over what their turn looks like, rather than, oh my gosh, I have to win this and hope and maybe just not ha- let somebody have fun at the table. But yeah, so this is Express Route. I'm hoping to get a stream of it next weekend, or next week. I'm sorry, and that is one thing that I am going to be say. I will say is I do want to start doing more board game streams on the channel, because I want to try some more solo games or multiplayer games if I can figure out how to get multiplayer in here. To be an alpha gamer and to play some Aeon's End. Yeah. And like Aeon's End, I think does it fairly well, right? Because if you're not showing your cards to other players, or like Spirit Island is just so complex that it's really hard to alpha game. Like I think there are ways to mitigate alpha gaming with limited information, with complexity, with limited communication. There's just a lot of ways to mitigate alpha gaming. Um, but it can happen. It can be a problem. I'd rather lose and everyone have fun than win and have a bad time. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Games are about having fun. So nice. Okay. Next up. Ooh, where are we going? We'll do this. We'll do it. We'll do a fun. Hey, hey. Wrong button. I got a disc off disc. So Stonemeyer Games was there under the Meeple Source booth, and I was talking with David, who actually signed my disc. So David works for Stonemeyer Games, and they were saying that this kind of all started as a April Fool's joke, is that Stonemeyer was going to start selling disc off disc because they disc off a lot on the weekends together. Like Jamie and the team as a group that gets together and they disc off. And so I think what David was saying is that it started out as a joke that they were going to start selling disc off disc, and people just went for it. Um, Fixing the alpha problem. Every card has peril now. Yeah, right. Exactly. But so they had just all of the disc there. I went through and I picked it out. This is actually a Valkyrie, and what they would did is every single person got to pick in that group got to pick a disc mold from Innova, and then one of the games, and they created graphics for the game. So this is David's disc. They picked a Valkyrie, and the stamp is from Expeditions, which is the new game from Stonemeyer set in the Scythe universe. It has a real name. I'm drawing a blank on the universe's name at this time. But they had all types of discs. They had putters, they had scythe putters, they had between, or actually I don't know if they had between two cities, but like they had pendulum like stamps, and each person had their own disc, which was just really fun. I thought that was fun. But I got this. I'm probably not going to throw it. I do play a lot of disc off. That's something I've talked about on the channel before, but that's my other hobby. But I'm gonna probably put that. I have a disc on right behind me right now. This is a Pro Tour disc. I'm gonna put this up there because I think that this would be fun behind my head. So actually, I can make this bigger. Yeah. So right there we are. That's a disc off disc, and so this is gonna replace that. There. Company accidentally became a disc seller as it profits more discs than it does games. Yeah, right. I got a Snapchat. One of my cousins plays disc golf as well, and we weren't together, and I just got a Snapchat of all the disc at the Stonemeyer booth, and he's like, "No way!" Like, the Venn diagram of disc golfers and board gamers is pretty. It has a pretty big overlap. It's way larger than I was ever expecting, and so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I really like disc golf. I was talking with David from Man vs. Meeple, and I've been doing some work with Man vs. Meeple recently, and I was up there filming a couple weeks ago, and David was like, "Do you play? Have you ever played disc golf?" I was like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, I have." And so we were gonna play the next time I went up, but it was raining, and so I'm hoping that we can figure out a day that it's dry next time I go up to film and play some disc golf. But if you haven't played disc golf, highly recommend trying it. It's really easy to get a starter set, and then most courses are free. I would say 99% of courses are free to go just play, and it's a good time. It's a good time. It's My wife likes to think of it as a hike where we throw disc in the middle of it, so it's a good time. But yeah, I was really happy with that. Ooh, yeah, okay, yes, let's do this one next. So, Spirit Island. I love Spirit Island. Spirit Island is my favorite game of all time, and I got the new nature right there above my head is again the it's kind of blocked by the chat, but this is the new expansion. Ooh, premium tokens. Yeah, so got the new expansion for Spirit Island. At Gamma, I was actually sent home with the premium token pack 1 for a review, and I got that after I had ordered. Spirit Island is better than LCGs. I like Spirit Island more than LCGs. I play LCGs more, but I like Spirit Island more, mainly because I don't know, it's just very, very satisfying. The way that I rank it, I go Spirit Island, then LCGs as number 2, and I just kind of lump all the LCGs together. Yeah. But Spirit Island has a lot of the same satisfaction that LCGs brings. It's asymmetric, cooperative, and it's just very, like, I don't know, it's just so good. I tried the digital version of Spirit Island, and boy, it was overwhelmed. It's a big game. It's a very, very big game. And so it's a complex game. That being said, if you are able to put in the time to learn it, it's a very satisfying game. It's a very satisfying game. But yeah, so I got sent home with Premium Token Pack 1 for a review, and to show off. And so I've done a little bit of content around that. And then I had already ordered Nature Incarnate that came in with that this was kickstarted with, which has all of the other kind of, so in the Incarnate tokens, some of the other tokens that I'm going to open this right now. I'm going to, you know what, we're just going to do it. We're going to open it. So when I got Incarna, I've played 8 games or so of Nature Incarnate, and I just wanted to play all of the spirits, and so I've been able to play all the spirits, all the new spirits, not any of the aspects, but I had like all of these like really awesome, amazing tokens, and then some of the cardboard ones that I hadn't seen here, and so and they're hard to find online. They're pretty tough to find online. But so I was really happy to see that they were selling them at Gencon. But yeah, they're like screen printed like wooden pieces that replace cardboard pieces in the main game. And so this comes with kind of your player markers here. Comes with some of the element tokens. And so we use element tokens. There are some spirits that actually use element tokens, but the element tokens we use as like trackers. We have printed out and laminated some like element trackers that we like to use. Does your wife also play board games, or does she leave that to you? No, she plays a lot of board games. She's significantly better at board games than me. Um, so, yeah. So these are new tokens. One of the Ocean Spirit now has a new aspect, and one of the things that they introduced, I believe, in Jagged Earth, is new aspects for old spirits. And so the spirits actually have things that cover up and modify their innate powers to make them more complex, different, all of that. And so this is Ocean. There's a new Ocean aspect, which is when I play next, that's going to be the one I play, is the new Ocean aspect. These are Vitality tokens, I believe. Yeah, Vitality. You guys ever plan to do joint content? Uh, I not necessarily not we haven't thought about it. No, no, we haven't. Um, the vitality tokens prevent a blight being added if there is no blight on the board, and so this is a new mechanic in the Nature Incarna. Um, this is a new spirit. This is like the Earthquake spirit. So they basically get to shift like the world. And then these are the new Incarna tokens, which is the big thing from the new expansion. These are tokens that specific spirits have, and then they can act as anything printed on the token. So this one can act as the Incarna, a presence, or a Badlands. And there's ways to like make it better and like upgrade it. So unupgraded, upgraded side. But the new spirits have the Incarna, which is just a way to add another um lever. I don't know if that's the right word, but basically there are things that reference, from your Incarna at your Incarna, and then like all the spirits utilize them differently, but it's effectively just another like mechanic in the game that just works really well. And then so I think like 4 of the spirits had Incarna. I guess I could probably figure this out. There's 6. Yeah, there are 6. I think 4 of the spirits in the expansion had Incarna, and then 2 of the Incarna are from aspects for older spirits. So, so yeah, so I'm really happy with this. I've been looking for these online. They were selling for too much money. They were selling for too much money, and so I was able to grab these, and I'm pretty happy with that. They said they had fear tokens in there. I don't know if I actually saw those. Oh, there they are. They're hiding in the bag. Apparently, there's 5 more fear tokens. 6 more fear tokens. Maybe there wasn't enough in the first premium token pack, but yeah, I love Spirit Island. I have not obviously I just opened it, right? But I have not gotten to play with the new premium token packs, but I have gotten to play Nature Incarna, and I think that's phenomenal. I stand by my statement, and I think it was my podcast that was a while ago, that I think Jagged Earth is one of the best expansions of all time, just because of how much content it adds and how much it makes those spirits just interact with the game. I think that Jagged Earth is one of the best expansions of all time. And so Incarna's not at that level. I don't think it's at a Jagged Earth level, but it's a very, very good expansion. Whew. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Gencon was so awesome. So the block party at Gencon this year was way better. And so what the block party is where all like the food options are. Not all the food options, but the majority of the food options for Gencon. And what they do is they bring in food trucks, and historically they've kind of been out front, and they've closed down a road, and you can walk through that road, and they put the food trucks on either side, and you can go and do that. That got really, really crowded really, really quickly. And this year they tried something new, and I thought it was way better. The way that they did the block party of this year is the convention center is connected to Lucas Oil Stadium, and they utilize Lucas Oil Stadium for just more space. And so I went to a couple of events in Lucas Oil. That's where like a lot of the open gaming was on the Lucas Oil field, which is where the Colts play football. And so it's really it's a surreal experience to be sitting on the field looking up, at the huge arena, and be playing board games while you're looking down. It's incredible. I wish I had a way to show a picture or something, but it's really cool, and just leads to like just some really fun experience. I really appreciated the extra seating outside, but eating inside Lucas Oil was great. Yeah, it was. And so because those are connected, you can actually, there's an underground tunnel that you can walk between Lucas Oil and the convention center. It's across the street, but they took in between there's a road, and then like a big parking lot, and that parking lot is where the block party was this year, and they had food trucks and like all the food tents and everything set up there, and you could go and grab food. And then they had a ton of seating outside, but you could also take that food into Lucas Oil, where there was a lot of seating in the stands, or they also had tables set up in like the entrance of Lucas Oil, and like kind of on that ring where you could walk around, where you go down to the expensive seats or up to the normal seats. For like the game, they had a lot of tables set up there, and that just worked so much better. It was a lot easier. You weren't as cramped getting food. You could go grab food, go sit down, and it was so much better. And I really hope that they continue to do that in the future, just because it was leagues better than how chaotic and crowded it was on the other side. For someone who only attends PAX Unplugged, would you recommend Gen Con, or are there a few things to consider? I will always recommend Gen Con. Will I recommend Gen Con over PAX Unplugged is a different question, but if you have the option to go to Gen Con, go to Gen Con. Gen Con is a phenomenal experience, and I totally recommend doing it. Gen Con versus like PAX Unplugged and Origins, which are the two other conventions that I go to that are kind of similar to Gen Con. It's kind of what you're looking for. Hey, villain, how's it going? Sounds awesome. Hope one day to make it to Gen Con. Oh, that'd be so sick. Yes, you absolutely need to do that. Absolutely need to do that. And since Villain Theory is here, we'll talk about Marvel Champions next. But yeah, so if you are comparing them to like a PAX Unplugged or a Origins, it's a question that you just need to ask. Gen Con is all about the new hype, new games, and it has a heavy focus on buying and expanding your collection and trying new stuff. Whereas PAX Unplugged and Origins are less about the consumer, and like there is still games being sold and all of that, but it has a lot more emphasis on the playing games side of things. And so if you're going to a convention and hoping to play a lot of games, have a lot of fun, be able to sit down at a table and just play a 4-hour game, I would look to PAX Unplugged, Origins, and those are, I'm just speaking from like my experience with cons. I know that there are a ton of others that do that, but if you're going to like the crazy new stuff, I'm going to wait in lines and go try and buy the hot new game, then Gen Con is absolutely the place you want to be. So let's talk about Marvel Champions. So I did post a video a couple days ago where I talked about my experience with the first scenario of the new Next Evolution box, which is a event that I got to play on Thursday. And I really wish PAX Unplugged had an artist alley. So many good. Oh yeah, the art at Gen Con is great. I actually didn't get any this year, unless you consider Disney Lorcana art. I actually didn't get any. We got a lot of stuff at Origins, and so kind of kind of spent all of our art budget there. I go to Origins to play demo games. I go to Gen Con to buy games and embrace this spectacle. Yeah, that's a great way to put it, Silent. Yeah. I totally agree. Where was I? Just home with medicine. Now let the Marvel Champions talk heal me. Enjoy the video. Watched it earlier today. Yeah, I hope you feel better, villain. Hope you feel better. Yeah, so Marvel Champions. I got to play the first thank you, Magic Moose. Yes, Marvel Champions. I'm still not caught up on sleep. Oh my gosh, I got no sleep over Gen Con, and that's part of the experience, but also just part to recover. I woke up yesterday feeling horrendous, which is why we're doing this stream today and not yesterday. I was planning on doing it yesterday, but I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I was just feeling awful. And so I'm feeling a little bit better today. I'm still a little stuffy, but I feel so much better than I did yesterday. But Marvel Champions. So on Thursday, I actually had a ticket to do the event at 10 a.m., which I didn't do because I realized after the fact I bought that ticket, and like 10 a.m. is like when everything starts. I was like, I have to go do everything. And so I ended up doing it at like 3 p.m. And the event was, you got to play the first scenario of the new Next Evolution campaign, which is the box that is releasing here in 9 days. So that's pretty exciting. So we got to do that. We brought pre-constructed decks to the game. We did not get to play Cable or Domino, but we did get to play the first scenario. I played Villain Theory's King of Hearts deck for his Gambit deck, and that was just a blast. Love that. But yeah, the first scenario was really good. The first scenario was really good. It's a multi-villain scenario where you have to kill 3 of the villains, but each of the or not each, but a lot of the treacheries and a lot of the side schemes and everything get worse based on how many villains you've killed. So unlike some of the other multi-villain scenarios where they don't necessarily scale with how many you've killed, and you don't necessarily get that jump in difficulty all the time. This one, you got that jump in difficulty, which was pretty cool because like now your treacheries are like side schemes come in with more threat based on how many villains you've previously defeated. And I just thought that was really good. If you're curious about that, I have a whole video talking about that. I recorded it at midnight on Thursday, so I played it, did all this stuff, and then I recorded that video midnight on Thursday. And I was gonna get home, I was gonna edit, and my laptop could not read the file format. And so I tried for about a half hour. I got about to 2 a.m. and I was just like, I am just gonna post this later. And so I got home, I edited it, and I posted it Monday or so. But it was like I was so ambitious. I was so good. But no, it didn't work. Doesn't feel noob friendly. They want to jump directly. Oh yeah, I think so. There are a couple of. It's not as noob friendly as like a Rise of Red Skull in the sense of how much is going on. That being said, I think we played on standard and it felt on the easier side of scenarios. So, but I think that it felt noob friendly. Yeah. I'm gonna drink some of this. We did get. Let me see if I can find this. Playing in it, we got promos. And so they did these alt art resource cards. Let's see if I can get these out. I wonder if expert difficulty introduces a significant jump in difficulty or minor. It looked pretty significant, villain. So a lot of the villains on stage 1, or not on stage 1, on side A. Ooh, swag. Yeah. A lot of the villains were like kind of on theme of like 0 and 2 attack, 0 scheme 2 attack, but they always had this option where like you would say whenever this villain attacks you, you either have to give him +2 attack or do this other negative thing. And so it was really fun decisions throughout there. Your deck villain, I think, made that scenario significantly easier just because we had so many blocks going around that we could always opt into the +2 attack and just be fine with that. I don't think that there's a lot of overkill in the deck, so the allies blocking was just fine. Did I win the scenario, and how long was the 4-player game? We did win the 4-player scenario. I think the 4-player game took us around 2 hours or so. It wasn't too bad. So it was good. But yeah, so we got a Captain Marvel there. So the strength, a energy, and then a genius. And so these are just alt arts for each one of the resources. I posted a picture on the cards YouTube channel. And so if you want a closer look at them, you can go check them out. But I'm just gonna drop these in like the Captain Marvel deck and use these as the resources there. I know Eric, who has been on Step Into the Portal before, he's also did the guess the card on the channel. Eric they had printed out a lot of the other hero specific resources because apparently these have been all designed and they've been like print on demand. Just not going to try and get it back in there. And then we also got a Spider-Man one, and the Spider-Man one I'm more excited for. I think the Spider-Man one is just really, really cool. So you got the energy, the genius, and then my favorite is the strength. I just think that this art is just so freaking cool. So they got those printed. You need to try and source the Spider-Man resources. These are just so cool. And like the thing is, like, I didn't know that we were getting these. I thought that we, paid the $6 or however much the ticket was, and we just got lucky and we were able to play that first scenario and just have fun with it. But then Tony was the one who was kind of facilitating the game, came around and handed these out. And I was like, that was just a really nice surprise. And so I had a lot of fun with that. But yeah, the scenario was really good. Getting the alt art resources was really cool. And I hope they continue to do preview the next scenario of the campaign at every Gen Con, because I did Mutant Genesis last year. And so that's actually where I met Caleb. And so yeah, Caleb was there as well. He was facilitating the Star Wars deck building kind of game, doing all the learn to plays and tournaments and stuff on that. Tony was kind of doing the Marvel Champion stuff. So I got to talk with both of them. Always good to talk with them. Trying to look. Has anyone played sorry, has anyone played Rolling Realms? Rolling Realms is a game by Stonemaier Games where it is a roll and write game. Did they hint the next expansion? They did. They did. No, they didn't necessarily hint the next expansion. What they did is we had access to the rule book, and they, like in all the previous expansions, they talk about some of the or they hint at the next expansion. This one was pretty obvious. I'm not going to say it just because I know that there are people out there who like to avoid those spoilers, but it's pretty obvious what the next expansion is going to be in that last panel of the comics. So yeah. So Rolling Realms is a roll and write game from Stonemaier Games. If you are unfamiliar with the genre, basically the entire idea is that you will roll dice and then utilize those dice. Where can I go to learn more? I'll drop it in the Discord. If you're part of the Discord, I'll if I remember, I'll drop it in there. And like the Marvel Champion spoilers, the one that you have to like actually subscribe to, just so we don't spoil it for anyone who doesn't want to know. Yes, love Rolling Realms. Would you ever consider doing a Rolling Realms stream where I would love to do that. Yeah, I think that'd be a ton of fun. So Rolling Realms, yeah, that's a really good idea. I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. Yeah, I'm not good at Rolling Realms, but I would love to do it. With Rolling Realms, what you do is you shuffle all of these cards, and basically you choose 3 of them, and you're allocating dice to these different cards, and they all score differently and play differently. The cool thing is that Stonemaier has contracted or worked with a lot of other game companies to create promo packs for other games. So in like the core set, all of these cards are different Stonemaier games. And so there's the Scythe game, there's the Viticulture game, and they all score differently and kind of play similar to or feel similar to the actual game. Whereas like I don't know how to play Arc Nova, but I really enjoy Arc Nova. And so like they have these packs, and so now you can shuffle in the Arc Nova, and because you're drawing 9 over the course of the game, you just have a chance to draw into the different Rolling Realms cards. And so now like if I draw Arc Nova and everyone has the same, now we'll play with Arc Nova. And so this one, I guess we can read it. So it says use a number to gain its benefit equal to the number of outlined circles, and then cross off those circles at the end of every turn. Oh, cross off the circles. At the end of every turn, outline 1 circle under 1 rolled dice you didn't use in this realm, even if you didn't activate the realm at all. 6 counts as any. So basically, if I don't use a 1, I can outline, and then I can get X pumpkins, where X is the number of that I've circled in previous games. And so because you have 3 of these, I'm just going to pretend that these are different realms. When I roll my dice, I get to allocate 1 die to 2 dice. One of these realms will not be activated. And so if I go like here, then I can start circling, which is like that long-term payoff for the Arc Nova card. Whereas this may be Viticulture, and this may be Between Two Castles, which all score differently. And then you score each one of these cards up to like 6 points, and you're trying to get here's how you get some stars. You're trying to get, the most points, and you play 3 rounds, and it's a really quick, easy game. I really like the idea, Silent. I'll figure out a way to do a stream, because that would be a lot of fun to play along with. And because if you have a copy, and honestly, because I could just roll the dice, and then everyone could allocate those dice, and if you have a copy of the game, you can just play along, and I'll use just the core set, so you don't have to have any of the promos, and that'll be a good time. We did a podcast episode that was a play along of Welcome to, and I do think that a stream would work just much, much better than the podcast episode because we were playing over like the podcast, and Welcome to is another roll and write game. So it states that it can go up to 99 players because that's like how many pieces of paper it has in the box, but you can play with an infinite number of people. Same thing with Rolling Realms. You can play with an infinite number of people. And so that'll be fun. I'll set that up. I'll figure out how to do that. Now my mind's just going. That's fun. Oh, no, I'll talk about something big now. Lunar Rush. Lunar Rush is a board game from Dead Alive Games, designed by Skippy Round. And this is a game. This is a heavy game. I got the deluxe version. This is a game that just got kickstarted. They were doing pickups from the Kickstarter as well as selling any extra stuff. But I apparently just mixed the Kickstarter. I actually thought that I had bought the game, and then like I was talking with Bernie, who works at Dead Alive. And like we were looking, and I was like, I don't think I ever got the pledge manager. It turns out I just completely missed it. But I demoed this game last Gencon, last Origins, even longer ago. And Lunar Rush is, I immediately fell in love. I don't know how I missed the Kickstarter, but Lunar Rush is a game where you are sending. Oh my gosh, it looks so dense. I love it. I'm trying to find a good picture. I'll just get the board. You're sending resources. Oh, these are dual layer. That is really nice. It's weird to say, but I love the way this game is written here. The box looks really cool. Yeah. And like it's a little bit, I don't know if you can see it on the stream, but like here and here are like glossy finish, whereas like the rest of the box is matte. The box is really nice. Oh, these are all dual layer. I love dual layer player boards. Give me more dual layer stuff. Oh my gosh. Here's the board. Okay. Yeah, we should be able to fit this. Oh my gosh, look at these. These are screen printed. Look how adorable these are. Sending your little astronauts up to space with the screen printed like acrylic minis. I don't know if I've seen focus. Hey. There we go. Screen printed minis like that. I don't think I've seen like screen printed acrylic minis before. That's really cool. Oh, and then like realistic resources. Then like these are the chips. This is what got me to buy the deluxe copy, is that these are the score chips, and they're like clay chips. You like put those in my hand. I was like, okay, yeah, give me that. But the idea of the game, it's a pretty intense game, but it's a pretty short game, which I think is just a really cool thing. So basically what you're doing is you're sending items up to the moon and then back down to Earth. And so you're trying to build out on your player board different things on the moon. We are exploring and developing the moon, and we're trying to send resources up. However, based on how quickly you want to go, more fuel is needed, or less fuel is needed for lighter loads. So like this first launch, it gets there very quickly. It takes one turn to get there, but you can only carry two items. Whereas your slow launch over here, you can get up to the moon. It takes 3 turns. Every single turn, this moves 1. But you can carry 9 items. So if you get up there and like you've logistically planned and you're like, oh, wait, crap, I actually need 1 more of this resource that I can only get on Earth. I need to send it up. My slow launch is going to get there. I may want to hop on this, try and take this worker spot to get, the supplemental resources that's going to help me build my big epic building, so I can time them to get there at the same time. Oh, this game is your most anticipated play. It looks fantastic. Read the rules and ran through 2 turns, but haven't played it yet. Nice. Yeah, it is really good. I played a demo copy about over a year ago now, and so that's why I am having a hard time remembering. But I think it was my second or number 1 game of Origins last year. And so now that it's actually out in the wild, I get to play it. I wonder if this has a solo mode. It does. It does have a solo mode. But this is one that I'm going to learn the rules. My wife is actually out on vacation. I'm hoping that when she gets back, we're going to get to dive into this one because I'm really excited to sink my teeth a little bit more into this. But like, it's really quick. Like the gameplay, this says it is 45 to 75 minutes, but it's a brain burning game. And I have not found a lot of games that have a lot of crunch to them that don't take 2+ hours to play. And I think that this game may be one of those games. And I'm so glad I went with the deluxe version. I think it was like $20 or $30 more, but these are, like, you can see, like, get out all the gems. Like the gems are like, you know, real nice. So I want to say more about this game. I just, honestly, I'm having a hard time remembering exactly everything, but there are, where was that? Your initiative orders, kind of how quickly you are going up. So based on your initiative, you get to take that first worker placement spot on the way up or the way down, and it's like a draft order. And then there are global objectives, and you know, just it's a Euro game. It's a Euro game. But this is one dual layer player boards. I'm a sucker for dual layer player boards. And then there's like other cards that you can, these are consistent across all players, like these 3 buildings that you can build, but then you can grab cards that have different asymmetric powers at that point. And so you're trying to just get the resources up. It's a resource crunch game, and if you like Euros, definitely check this one out. These are your spaceships and they're dual layer, and I'm really happy about that. That's just cool. Also, I feel like a little kid playing with spaceships. Love it. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this. This is the coolest part about the game, is the market. It's an economic game too. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so pumped for this game. I totally forgot about that. Okay, so the market. Let's pull this out. Oh my gosh. Haha. So the resources that you are mining on the moon, you can bring back down to Earth and sell those resources for the current market cost. And so it's a supply demand. So if you sell, the price drops. But the different resources have different volatility. You're never too old for spaceships. That is absolutely true, villain. Absolutely true. Spaceships are really cool. So the different resources have different like volatility levels. So up top, that Lunathist, which is the new, I guess, resource for the game, the Lunathist gem is pretty volatile. So once somebody buys it, it drops 2 money. I think it's victory points, but it drops very, very quickly, all the way down to 28. And then once someone has sold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, every subsequent one is sold for 28. But if you can get there for early, you get 14 extra victory points. Whereas like the Lunathist shard, it takes a long time for it to actually drop down to half its value at 4, but you can always, you start selling it for 8. And so that's why, I totally forgot about this. I am so pumped for this game. Oh my gosh, yes. But that's why you want to take those quick routes back, because what you're doing on the moon is you're mining these resources, and then you can put them on the ship. The ships, based on how quickly they're going back to Earth, also can carry a certain amount of resources. So just like on the way up to the moon, you have the fast, medium, and slow launch, and that dictates how much you can take to the moon. Same thing on the way back down. You have the fast, medium, and slow, and so can hold 7 items, 1 item, or 3 items. But if you really want to get down to the Earth and be the first person to sell the Lunathist gem to get that 42 resources, you may want to just put that 1 resource on here, hop down to the Earth quicker, and beat someone who may have won on the slow route. However, if you're throwing with the Lunathist shards, you may just load up the slow launch, because once it gets down there, who cares if it's dropped? Who cares if 4 of them have been sold? You're only getting 1 less victory point for each one that you're selling. And so it, oh yeah. And this is for 3 or 4 player. This is for 2 players. So it changes based on player count. Um, okay, yeah. Now it's all coming back. It's all coming back. But then the entire game takes place over 7 rounds. So if you take 3 rounds to get to the moon, that's almost half of the game. So now you can kind of start to see how quickly this game can go by because you play out over 7 rounds. If you go slow up, slow down, there's one turn, and you have multiple spaceships, but like there's one turn where that spaceship is not doing anything. And so it's a significant amount of the game, but it's pretty quick. I think once you know what you're doing, you could probably get it down to like 30 minutes, 45 minutes pretty easily at 2 player. So that's Lunar Rush. They have the gold foil. This was part of the Kickstarter. That some of these cards were gold foil, and so like the foiling on that is really nice. I like it a lot. I think this one was actually a promo card. Oh, and then also on my, I got a pin. So one of the big things at Gencon is a lot of people will get pins to put on their badges. Actually, I'm just going to put that card in there. Get pins, like metal pins to put on their badges to show off all the cool stuff you've got. And so I got a couple of pins, but Lunar Rush had a pin this year, and so I got one of these. And so I walked around with this. I think that this is one of my favorite pens. Over here on my lamp, I actually have all my badges from like all the cons I've been to, and it's just kind of fun to look over and see some of the pens. What else I got? I got an Unexpected Games pen, and then this llama. I think this is from Amigo Games, I believe, but I like this pen. I think it's hilarious. I think it's fun. The llama. Cool. Yeah, I'm really excited for Lunar Rush. Lunar Rush is definitely good. I'm glad to hear that, Brent, you're excited about. They had a raccoon pin. Really? I missed the raccoon pin. Usually I get more pins. I was focused on other stuff. Usually I like to go around and get a lot of the pins. I know that one of my, I'm looking over and like I see all like the content creator pins, because the content creators will create pens and stuff. I need to create a pen. I need to have a pen that I can hand out. But like Grant's pen, Grant Lyon, if you know him, he's a comedian. He has his pen. I see that on my Origins badge. And but yeah, they had a raccoon pin. So wait, are you talking about you, or are you talking about your Right Brain Rollers podcast? Because the Right Brain Rollers had the raccoon, or has the raccoon as the mascot as well. So, but yeah, I want to do a pen. I think that would be cool. I want to figure out how to do the pens. I've also seen people do like, that's the other thing, is usually there's like little ribbons that you can put on your badge. I didn't get any. Dead Alive Games had a raccoon pen. Nice. Okay, I didn't know that. That's fun. Nice. Yeah, the people at Dead Alive Games are just really good people. Really good people. Trying to think of any events that I did. I really didn't do that many events. Actually, I think next I want to talk about a game that I got to do an event for, and this is it's a new trading card game coming out from, oh, I meant to look it up. Equinox. It's a new trading card game coming from Equinox, which is part of the Asmodee umbrella. Yeah, Right Brain Roller's mascot is a raccoon named Lefty. Yes, because both of y'all are left-handed. So, new trading card game from Equinox, which is under the Asmodee umbrella. So, I got an invite to attend one of these sessions, and I am so glad that I did, because this is my top game of the con, and my most anticipated game coming out. It is called Altered, and it is a new TCG that kind of feels similar to Lorcana in the sense that it's a rush game. It's not I need to kill you in order to win the game, but it's a rush system where you are trying to meet 2 of your player pieces on this linear path in between each other. And the theming of the game is that the like real world and like the imagination world have bridged. And so you are trying to connect yourself with your familiar, and you are playing into two different lanes. So similar to Star Wars Unlimited, which we'll talk about here in a second, but you're playing into two different lanes, and you're trying to move your familiar and then your hero and meet them in the middle. The gameplay is phenomenal. The gameplay is really, really good. There are different terrains, and those are randomly distributed. There are three types of terrains. There's like the forest, the mountains, and then the water. And you need to win whatever terrain you're in order to move out of that terrain. And the way that you win is you compare the numbers. And I wish I had more like visual ways to talk to show this, but I don't at this time. But so if you are looking at your familiar side, which is your right side, and you are in a green, a forest space, and the other familiar is in a water space, what you'll do is you'll compare any number, the summation of the total power of the cards that you've played for like the forest. And if you exceed the other player's forest value, you get to move out. But if they exceed your water value, they get to move out. So it's not necessarily a all for one. You can move one each piece once per turn. It's similar to Unlimited and Lorcana, where the system is you play a card from your hand face down as kind of your mana, and then you can use that every single turn to pay for cards. The cool part about the gameplay, other than like the race, and the art is phenomenal. I'll show you these here in a second. The cool part about the gameplay is that after you have played a card and at the round ends, all cards leave play. So there's no like rollover into future turns. All cards are leaving play, but you get to have two memory slots. And so these are face-up spots on the table, and you can take 2 units and put them into your, or spells, and put them into your memory. Then when you're playing cards, every single card has a from hand cost and then a from memory cost. Now the from memory cost could be higher, lower. It's just different. It's another balancing mechanism, but it's also they're from hand effects and they're from memory effects. And so now when I'm sitting here and I have 5 resources, I could play a 5 from my hand, or I could play a 5 from the memory. And every single hero has a different ability. My ability was once per round, when I play something from my memory, I can activate its from hand effect. So just a lot of ways to manipulate that. The art is fantastic. Let's go to the art. They gave us 2 promo cards. And so the 2 promo cards here are the heroes. I'm covering up the QR code because I don't want the QR code to be visible. But the 2 cards here are promo cards, which you can scan in, and this is kind of the idea of the artwork. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. But the coolest part about the game, and this is really where I start to get really excited about the game, is the app that they are developing that is a companion app for the game. And every single card has a QR code on it, and you scan the QR code. Solo mode? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's a head-to-head trading card game, so 2-player only. But the app that they have been developing for the game, you scan all the cards after you bought the physical booster. You scan all the cards, and then you get to you scan all the cards, and then they get added into the app, and you own them digitally. What that means is that you have these cards, and they've set up print-on-demand centers all over the world, and you can print these cards for a pretty low cost. They're saying about 1 card is worst case scenario, print it for $1. So I own these cards in the app, and now if I ever trade that card, if I trade that card to you, Magic Moose Moo, and you live across the world, I don't ship the card. I transfer digital ownership to you, and then you print it on demand. You have to have digital ownership over the card in order to play it in a tournament. And so people will register their decks, and like they've created their QR scanning is incredible. They scan about 13 cards in about 5 seconds. So it's really quick. And so what they'll do is they'll scan your deck, make sure that you have the digital ownership of the cards, and then you get to use those cards for for the physical gameplay. But what I can do is I can print 5 copies of one card and then have 5 different decks, so I never have to deconstruct decks. I can just bring different decks. Now I have to have digital ownership of every card in that deck, but that's what it is. It also is cross-lingual, so if I'm trading to somebody in France who wants the card in French, I can trade and transfer digital ownership of the card to that person in French, and then they can print it in French. That is totally fine. It's just a way to do it. They said that like if you lose your deck on the way to the world tournament in another country, once you get there, print the deck out and you're fine. Have it sent to you. And so the amount of options that this opens up is just so fascinating to me. Because everything, all the tournaments are going to be run through the app. You have full historical information of everyone that you ever played, their deck list as well, so you can go back and see and research on what you have done, and how you matched up against different types of archetypes. And it's just, oh my gosh, it's so cool. The other interesting, I missed it. What's the name of the card game again? It's called Altered. It's called Altered. What do you print it out on? Seems like you lose a lot of quality. No. So they have, it's a, basically you order it and they ship it to you. So you say, I want 5 copies of this. You order it and then they ship you the cards. So whenever you buy a booster pack, you have the physical card in it and on it. However, when you scan those QR codes, you now have digital ownership of the cards. And if you want another copy, you ship it to you. Or you can hand the cards to, your little brother and let them tear the cards up, and then you can print it again. If you spill drinks all over your cards, it's not the worst thing in the world, because you can just have the cards printed again. And so it just like, it takes out a lot of the fragility that a lot of these card games have, whereas if a card gets damaged or destroyed, it's no longer playable. Does this have a Kickstarter? It does. It's going to be early in 2024 is when the Kickstarter is going to hit. So it will be soon. But yeah, Altered, early 2024 for the Kickstarter. And I think they are pretty... They're pretty close to finishing all the... Or they're like done with the design and everything. And so I think it's going to be a Kickstarter and deliver in 2024 as well. So they're looking at a real quick turnaround. And so, yeah, the last thing that there's a lot more I want to talk about with this game. The other cool thing about this game is that every single card has 3 rarity types. And what that means is that you get to have the common level of the card. Then there's one version of that. There are 2 rare versions of the card. There's that card in the same faction. And then there's the mercenary unit of that card, which is an off faction version of that card. And so that's 3 versions. And then the last card, the last rarity, is called an altered card. And that's kind of the namesake of the game, is altered. And it is a 1-for-1 algorithmically generated unique version of that card, which is crazy cool, right? So you get, so if I have I'm going to try and find, let me see. So like, let me see if I can find a picture of a card that I can show you. So, well, this is my favorite piece of art. Oh, this is my favorite piece of art. Little mushroom sneezing. But basically that every single piece of art has a story that's being told across the 3 rarities. So like that mushroom, like the first 2, he's like getting ready, and then in the 3rd one, he's finally sneezed. And so it's cute. The art is amazing, but the 1-of-1 is algorithmically generated, balanced, but then you own a unique card in the game. Yeah, this sounds like it shares some of the same DNA as Keyforge, which I love. Yeah, I do think that it feels a lot like Keyforge, especially with like the unique decks and everything. And then the way that they're balancing that, I think right now they're still in playtesting, but it's like 3 altered cards, 3 altered cards, 7 rare cards, no, 17 rare cards, and like 20 common cards, or something along those lines. So every single deck that you play and play against will be unique. You're not going to have the thing like in Magic where you go and there are 4 decks being run because everyone has these unique cards. But they have put limitations on it, so they're all balanced and everything. And so I just think that's so cool. And then you have that 101 that you can trade. The last thing that I think that I want to talk about is the foil system. And so QR codes and foil don't really they don't interact. It's hard to scan a foil card. And so they can't necessarily print foil cards in the pack. And so what they're doing is in these packs, it's like a 1 in 4 pull rate. They're gonna have what they're calling, I think it's like a foil joker or something like that, where it's a card that is a QR code that you can scan, load it into your app, and then you can foil any card in your collection. When you foil that card, the entire family gets foiled. So every single card of any rarity gets foiled in your collection. And so then you can have it and you can send it out and get the foil card printed. And so it's a really cool system. So that's a 1 in 4 pull rate. The altered cards are about a 1 in 8 pull rate. So pretty common for those 1-of-1 cards. But the gameplay is really good, but I just think that the model is just game changing, and there's a lot to be excited for with this game. The art is fantastic, the gameplay is fantastic, and it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. How do you print foil cards? So same way you would print the normal cards. You would say, you like log onto your app, you'd have your foil card, and it's like, send me 5 of these cards, and they would ship it to you. And so they were saying, worst case scenario, the pricing model right now is about $1 if you print 1 card, but if you print more cards, that price goes down. So they do it. Yeah, they do it. And they have print on demand centers all over the world. And so you're not printing, they are located in France. You're not shipping and getting it from France. You're getting it from some place in your backyard that they've already contracted with. And so it's a crazy model. It's a crazy model, and I'm really excited to see where they go with it. It sounds intense. It's so cool. It's so cool. And just like the more that I think about it, the more excited I get about it, because they were talking about, because it's all app driven, they were talking about they're not launching with it, but they're talking about adding an online play element to it. And so you can play virtually with people. But I just think that if they do it right, and I have no reason to believe that they are not doing it correctly. I think the presentation was one of the top tier. Have they created other games in the past? So the owner of the company is the one who created oh my gosh, I'm not gonna pronounce it right. Illibud, the one who does like Magic the Gathering Seasons, and then they sold it to Asmodee, and then they started this new company. So they do have they do have game design experience a lot, and they've been working on this game for, I think they were saying, a couple years. They have a large team working on the game, and they've been working on it for a while. So it's Asmodee is really excited about it. They're part of the Asmodee umbrella. So like I am very excited for this game, and I'm excited for the gameplay, but I'm also just excited to see how this shakes up the world of TCGs, because there's no grading, there's no PSA 10s, because everything is just reprintable. And so I think it's a game that is focused a lot more on the gameplay aspect. It sounds futuristic. It really does. It really does. And you can collect the cards digitally. And I'm just, the gameplay is good. The gameplay is good. And that's what's so cool about it, is that, honestly, I'd probably be excited about this game, even if it had mediocre gameplay, just because of how the implications of what's going on with it. Imagine Lorcana snagging that idea, right? I don't think Lorcana will ever have a digital implementation, because Ravensburger has rights to the card game, but not for a video game, and any digital implementation would be a video game. And so I think it would take a lot to get the video game rights for Disney in order for them to print a Lorcana digital game. Now, that's the gameplay. If they had like the app stuff, then that would be different, but really cool. Yeah. No, I was blown away by this. I came out of that. I was talking with one of the people from Asmodee, and I was like, "What?" And like, they were asking me what I thought. I was like, need to process before I say anything. Like I am, it was an hour and a half long presentation, which at Gen Con is so long. Like that Gen Con time is premium time. And I am so very happy that I sat through the hour and a half and experienced that, because I am so very excited for what is to come. I do plan on doing a video, probably recording it after this or maybe tomorrow, about my top 3 card games from Gen Con. And so I will talk a little bit more about it there. So if people want to hear more about it, which is a lot of the stuff that I just said, but if people want to hear about it, they don't have to come to our 1 hour and 34 minutes of this video to hear about it. Yeah, it's the same reason we never see any digital implementation of Star Wars CCGs. The video game rights are tough. Yeah. Yep. Let's talk about Unlimited. I don't have anything to show for Unlimited, unfortunately. I did post a video yesterday about the interview. I got to play Star Wars Unlimited, which is the new CCG coming out from Fantasy Flight Games. I got to play Unlimited with one of the lead designers, Jay-Z, who's also done work on other FFG games, Destinies, Arkham, Lord of the Rings, that kind of stuff. And I got to play a game with him, and then did an interview with him. And so that interview is posted on the Cards channel. I will link it down below. But in that game, I got steamrolled. I like to, I chalk that up to 2 things. One, I was playing Darth Vader, and morally, I didn't feel like Darth Vader should win that game. Unlimited had some cool stuff. I enjoyed that interview. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Vader shouldn't win. I couldn't give myself the moral victory of winning and killing Luke with Vader. And then also Jay-Z, I don't think that they were, playing super optimally. They were trying to let me experience the game, but they did say that they had played over 1,000 games of Unlimited. Would you say it's like Champions but a PvP version? No, it's pretty different. And as I get into more and more card games, and just kind of like the history of my journey into like board games, I have not played a lot of card games. Marvel Champions was kind of my first card game that I played. I played Ashes and Summoner Wars, but not like a lot. But as I start to play more and more card games, the more I realize that the card game mechanics are just so wide and deep. But Unlimited is same resource system as Lorcana and Altered, where your cards, you can play them face down into your resource, so your resource row. And unlike Lorcana, any card can be resourced. So like Lorcana, you have to have the actual like Flourishier for it to be resourced. Hans can be resourced, but Mickey cannot be resourced. And so with Star Wars Unlimited, any card can be resourced. And so you can use those cards to pay for other cards that you're playing. The coolest gameplay part, that's what I'll say. The coolest gameplay part is that there are 2 lanes that you're playing in. You can play on your ground force side or the spaceship side. And the game in trigger is to destroy your opponent's base. In the demo that we were running, Darth Vader had the Death Star, Luke had something else, but they both had 30 hit points. If you destroyed that 30 hit point base, game was over, you won. Any of the ground units or the space units can attack the base, but only ground units can attack ground units, and only space units can attack space units. So there's this like fun little tug of war almost. Like I had built up a significant ground force just because that's what I was drawing into, and I was playing a lot of units into my ground units. I was kind of dominating that side of the battlefield, and then Jay-Z started playing a lot of space units and was attacking my base from the space side, and I had no counter to that. I was able to draw into a couple cards that allowed me to search for a space unit, and so I was able to grab that and like try and mitigate it, but it didn't work. I lost. One of the things that I really appreciated about it is that instead of like just drawing one card and then playing one card to like your inkwell for like Lorcana, for instance, draw one, play one, you are drawing 2 and playing 1. And so you're always seeing a lot of cards, and you always have like options to resource cards. And so I'm drawing and seeing a lot more in my deck than I am in Lorcana. Whereas Lorcana, I feel like I am running into the problem that I am top decking just a lot. Uh, every single person has a leader unit. So like I was playing Vader, Jay-Z was playing Luke, and they have an epic action. So this is a action on your turn, and the turn system is very back and forth. I take an action, you take an action, I take an action, you take an action. So it's very rapid gameplay, which I do really like. But the epic action, every leader has a certain amount of resources that are required in order to activate the epic action. So Vader was 7. I didn't need to spend my 7 resources to do this, but once I had 7, I had unlocked the ability to bring Vader onto the battlefield. Bringing Vader onto the battlefield, he is leagues better than any other unit that I had ever played. So I think he was like a 6 attack, and then he had an ability that like whenever he attacked, he got to deal 2 damage to a unit, and then he had a lot of health. Now, I brought him out. He did his thing. Once he got destroyed, he went back to being my leader, and I still had the leader action, but I could no longer bring him out. The epic action was fulfilled. You're done. You cannot use the epic action again. And so I think the leader design and the leader timing of when you want to bring him out, because it can swing the game. I mean, like it is pretty epic, but both players have one. And so like Luke was able to bring someone out, and whenever he attacked, he got to give a shield to a unit, which prevents all incoming damage. And so it was a really solid game. Easy to learn. It was very easy to learn. It was very, very easy to learn. It was very straightforward, really good. Hey, gotta go. Thanks for the great Gen Con recap. Catch the rest on the vid. See ya, Silent. Hope you have a good one. Yeah, really simple rule set, really easy to learn. I think the teach, and I asked a stupid amount of questions just because I was having a ton of fun just experiencing the cards. I mean, I love Star Wars, right? And so I was just like I was fanboying over all the cards and everything. But I think the teach 7 minutes maybe. It was simple. It was really easy to get in, and then a lot of the rules and the interactions are on the cards, and so like the first couple games are going to be a little bit longer because you're reading a lot of cards, but that's any card game, right? So that being said, the coolest part about the game is the deck building. So you on your leader has 2 different faction types, and then your base has 1 faction. You can include any card in the game in your deck. However, if you're if the card that you are playing does not match one of your leader or your base's faction icons, you have to pay 2 additional resources for it. That has some major implications because you're not just locked into specific cards. Like these are not the cards I'm choosing from. I'm choosing from my entire collection, and some cards in the right deck are going to be worth 2 more resources to play, especially if they're that late game card. The other cool thing about this is you can include cards in your deck that are in there for very specific situations. So it's like, I need this card if I ever go up against this type of deck. And if you are not going up against that type of deck, you can resource it. So there's no additional cost to resource a card that's outside of your faction. You can just say like, hey, like, okay, cool, and resource that card. I don't need it this game, and now it's a resource for you. So there are too many CCGs. I'm not going to be able to play all of them, but I want to play all of them. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna play Lorcana here because Star Wars Unlimited is also a 2024 release. They have not really talked about the release of when that's going to be in 2024. My guess is it's going to be mid to early 2024, but I'm going to play Lorcana, and then I'm probably going to have to pick one of these just because of the financial aspect is going to be too much. TCGs are expensive, but it was really cool. I really enjoyed Unlimited. If you want to hear more about that, do you think it'll be deep in Lorcana? I think my answer to that depends on how easily it is going to be to get product. If it's going to be chaos every single time to get product, I don't think I will be. I think if I can go to the Meijer down the street and always have an option to buy a pack, I think I could get pretty deep into Lorcana. But if it's I need to camp outside of the game store starting 2 hours before they open in order for me to get product, that's going to turn me off of the game. So I think this wave 1 will be a little bit more like that. I will give it a couple of waves to see if they can figure out the allocation, but if anything kills it, it's going to be allocation. And collectors. Disney loves to Disney fans love to collect, and like I think the game will be printed for a very long time just because people will buy product. But the competitive scene of Lorcana, I think, could struggle because of the collectors. Did you get lucky at Gencon with it and got what you wanted? I got the starter decks and I got 2 booster packs. I'm actually opening them very 2 booster boxes. I'm actually opening very slowly. Whenever I complete a task and I deserve a little reward for myself, I get to open a pack. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. It's a little incentive. I'm Pavloving myself in order to be productive. So like yesterday when I finished my editing of the Deadpool thing that I just posted 45 minutes ago, I opened a pack just because I finished filming and editing a video. And so like it's a little treat for me. Yeah, might try and get some starter boxes at the big box stores in September. The starter decks are solid. They're and it's a fun game. It's a fun game. I've played all 3 of the starter decks. And it goes up to I think 6 players. I know you can play multiplayer. It's either 4 or 6. I played a 3-player game and it was good. It was really good because it's not a reduce your life points to 0. It's a race to 20. The multiplayer is really interesting. It's really interesting because it's completely different than a 2-player game because you have to rely on other people at the table to stop your other opponents, but try to rely on them more than what you are. I heard the green deck is a bit weird. I actually don't know. I don't know. Oh, I woke up today. I'll reward myself by opening a pack. Me trying to limit myself. I like it. The green deck is a bit weird. I don't have a lot of experience to speak to the specific strategies of each deck at this point. Fed the dog, open a pack. Drink some water, open a pack. Wash the dishes, open a pack. Open a pack, open a pack. Yeah, that was what the legendary pull or the enchanted pull was for me, like the Mickey Mouse here. I was just like, I finished the day of Gen Con. I'm gonna open a pack, and then I pulled the legendary or the enchanted Mickey. It's like the one I think like I've opened 2 packs that I didn't film, and that was one of them. Because I'm just filming the opening packs because I will sit through hours of people opening packs. It is $1 million card when we are 90. Yeah, exactly. That's my retirement right there. Is that Mickey? Well, like on TikTok and stuff, I will watch hours of people opening Pokemon cards. I don't even know the Pokemon cards. I just like to see shiny stuff. And so like I've been filming a lot of my pack openings and I'm posting like the good ones or the fun ones. But yeah, that's fun. Oh my goodness. Next up, we have my best pickup. I got colored pencils. So colored pencils, this is actually from Thunderwork Games. If you have played or heard of Cartographers, this is a roll in right. Technically, I think it's a flip in right, or as my one of the podcasts that I listen to, Cardboard Time, check them out. They call it a verb in right. So flip and right, roll and right, all of that good stuff. So flip and right, Cartographers, pencil hype. Let's go. Cartographers is a game where you are charting a map of the world and drawing like Tetris sized shapes onto this map and trying to score based on random scoring objectives that are dealt out at the beginning of the game. It's a phenomenal game. It's a really, really good game. The colored pencils are each different terrain has a different color. And so you, in the core set, you like draw like a little house, the symbol of each one of the terrains. But like they sold these as like the houses are red, right? So now I can draw all my houses in red. And I was just like, I don't even remember. They were like $5, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's just such a good idea." And the maps are gonna look so cool once they all come out. So yeah, I got this. I checked out and like, do you want a bag? I was like, I guess. And so like, I had this like giant Thunderworks bag just with like these like little pencils sitting in the bottom of them. But yeah, but no, I picked up colored pencils at Gen Con. It was a successful Gen Con. Knock out some of the littler stuff now. Soulforge Fusion. I talked about Soulforge maybe after last Gen Con. Soulforge is a head-to-head card game, very much in like the realm of Keyforge. Oh my goodness. uh, Soulforge Fusion is a head-to-head card game from Justin Gary, who's the person who designed Ascension, the deck building game. So if you are familiar with that, cool. I also played Ascension Tactics, which is a really good game. That I had a lot of fun with that. Ascension is one of the, core. When I think deck building, Ascension is one of the original deck building games that I think of, and they came out with the Tactics. So deck builder, very much in like the Dominion style, straight deck building. Tactics adds a board, and now instead of like attacking the other player for victory points, you use your attack values to move your units around the board, and then it's kind of like a capture the flag. So if there are like three like scoring points on the map, and if you're adjacent to it, and if you have majority adjacency around that, you score victory points at the end of your turn. And so Tactics was really good. But Justin Gary, who designed that, also was on the design team for Soulforge Fusion. And Soulforge Fusion is if you take Keyforge and you mix it with Smash Up. So Keyforge, the model there is that every deck is algorithmically generated. You do not deck build. You open a deck and you play that game. You play that deck. Soulforge is that, but Smash Up, where you take basically two halves of a deck, shuffle them together. So there's a little bit of construction going on behind the scenes. But yeah, I have a ton of Soulforge. I need to find someone to play with. But the idea in Soulforge is you're playing in 5 different lanes, and you are attacking these lanes. And if you can get through, then you're dealing damage to like their commander unit. So that's whenever you play a unit, you never will draw that unit again, but it upgrades. So there's 3 tiers of every single unit. So I play the bronze tier, I get to upgrade into the silver, and so on the next deck pass I can play the silver, and then finally the gold. And so it's a really fun decision on, am I going to go with like I'm going to upgrade this unit a lot, or am I going to try and upgrade a lot of units and just kind of have a consistent game, or am I really looking for that big pull with that gold unit and win the game that way? Anyways, there's a lot to keep track of with attack values and health values in this game, and so I have been using dice, but they came out with these, and I thought these were just really solid. Like, it's a little dial, and so you have your health dial over here, and then your attack dial over here. So now instead of having dice that represent that, you just put these on the card, and so you can have a max of 5 units on the field. So I bought 10 of these. They were, I don't know, $5, $10 each. And so these just go on the card, and then these track the 6 attack and 4 health. Put that on the card, and then you never have to deal with dice. You don't have to worry about the dice tipping, dice moving around. And so for how infrequently I bought this game, play this game, this was just such a solid upgrade for it that I'm just like, yeah. I actually have Soulforge behind me that I haven't even opened yet. Maybe I should have bought this. Oh well, I'm happy with this buy. But yeah, I just thought that was a really good way to keep track of some stats with these dials and not need to use dice. Like I think in the core set, they have like cards that you stack, and that just got messy really, really quickly. More accessories to siphon my monies. Exactly, right? Exactly. Victory Point Gaming rated me with 10 viewers. How's it going? Hey, Victory Point. How was your stream? Hope it was good. Hey. We're talking Gencon. We're talking Gencon. We are going through the Gencon haul, talking about everything that we got. You know what? Everyone's here. We should reward ourselves, and we get to open another Lorcana pack, right? Like that. There we go. See, I've been saying that I have bought all these Lorcana packs, and I have been only opening them whenever I find I reward myself. But this is the celebration. Victory Point came in with 10 new viewers. Let's open a Lorcana pack, because I feel like that deserves a Lorcana pack. See, now I'm starting to figure it out. Magic Moose Moo and Beast Snow. Let's go down. Okay, so we got 3 packs. I'm gonna let y'all choose. Should we open Maleficent, Elsa, or Mickey? Victory Point Game, you gotta run, but have a great stream. Thank you so much. Open a pack for every new channel sub. I would do that. I don't have that. I'm not gonna open another box, but yeah, I'll open a pack for every sub. I'll do that. Okay. Sounds like a good time for a Lorcana packs to me. Maleficent. Alrighty, we got Maleficent. The right one? The Mickey? Which one? If it was easier to do polls on Twitch, I would. I used to try, and it's just not. Okay, next person breaks the tie. Who is? Which one is it? Maleficent. Alrighty, let's do it. Okay. So, I actually don't know if these have any. I don't think that the art here has any implication on what cards come in it, but hey, so Disney's Lorcana. I love opening packs. I feel like such a kid. I love it. Okay, so we got Goofy. I really like evasive. So this is the keyword that this Goofy has, where he can only be challenged with characters with evasive, and so he's questing for 2. He swings really hard, but this, I mean, like, he can stay out there, and you need an answer to evasive. And so I like Goofy a lot. We got hey Freeze. This card is mean. You need a mod to make polls for you. There are some shortcuts to make them happen, but it's been a while since I did them. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about mods. That'd be a good idea. That'd be a really good idea. We got Freeze. Exert opposing chosen character. There's no life points in this game. No, there isn't. It's a race to 20 points. And so like this is, if I can exert this card, tap, but you can't call it tap. Exert this card, and I get 1 point to my 20-point total. But then they're exerted until the end of my next turn, and they can be attacked. So you don't attack a player, you attack different characters. But then you're also using your characters to race to victory points. Exert opposing character. This is a mean card, right? Because you can spin 2, exert, and then attack them. I know nothing about this game, but I love the art and layout of the cards. Yeah, I got a comment on one of my unboxings. That was just like, the art's kind of meh for me. I was like, the art is plain. I was like, what? Like, this is some of the most legit art I've seen. Vicious Betrayal. Chosen character gets +2 fight this turn. If a villain character is chosen, they get +3 instead. What a mean card. Donald Duck. Ward, a parent can't choose this character except a challenge, and so like there's gonna be cards that like Fire the Cannons just deals 2 cannons. This one has protection against that. Donald Duck actually seems like a pretty good card. Now 5 I think is kind of on the high end of that mana curve or the cost curve. Villain Theory. I was going through and learning about like the Magic the Gathering cost curves last night when I was looking and doing all this compared to Marvel. Cerebrius, 5/6, 5. Befuddle, return a character or item with cost 2 or less to the player's hand. That's mean. Jasper, whenever this character quests, chosen a character can't quest during the next turn. Oh, that's mean. That Lion King arc hitting the fields. Oh my goodness, right? Vicious Betrayal. Oh my goodness. Ain't that the truth? Jasper, Aurora, which is a very solid 2/2/2/2. There's a Hades. Oh, I love Hades. I'm actually really glad I got another card because one of the decks that I've been building, you only get one of these in the starter deck. And I need more of these because this is whenever you play this character, return a character card from your discard pile to your hand. And so because your characters are getting banished so frequently, I want them back. But also what is cool is you can grab a character, even if there's not one that you want to play, you can grab a character that you can then ink. And so you can do that. And then we've got another rare, Cusco. Actually, I don't think I have this one. So ward, and then when this character is challenged and banished, you can banish the challenging character. Oh my gosh, that's mean, especially with that 3 lore. That's a pretty significant card. And then we've got a hollow Zeus. I don't have Zeus either. Rush. This character can challenge the turn that they are played. So also in Lorcana, the first turn a character is played, they cannot exert to do anything unless they have a keyword that says otherwise. So this is Rush. So this is saying that the turn Zeus is played, they can challenge a character. And then when they challenge, they get +4 attack. And so they hit hard, but when they are attacked, they don't deal any damage back because you deal damage simultaneously in this game. And quest for 2. Yeah. I love the foil. I think the foil in this game is really, I don't know how good it is on camera, but the foil is very, very solid. Good stuff. Awesome. Well, that was fun. I like opening cards. It's dangerous. It's a very dangerous game for me to play. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I think we only have one more thing to talk about. I'm like looking around seeing if there's anything else, but nope. We got one more thing. It's a big box. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna throw my back out trying to grab this thing. I got Final Girl Season 1. So I've been playing Final Girl a little bit on the channel recently. I have all of Season 2, which was given to me by Van Ryder for review and streaming. This one I bought. So Final Girl Season 1, they do them in seasons. This has all of these killers as well as all of these locations. We'll open this here in a second. But this is kind of the... I forgot what they called this. What did they call this box? But it's, it's really... I love the art. Super jealous. But Final Girl Season 1... yeah, so it comes with the core box. It comes with the player mat, so the Season 1 player mat, and then all of the feature film boxes. It was a little bit more expensive than just buying all the feature films, but I did like that it came with the player mat, and I like the storage solution. And so I ended up just buying this, but this is the one player only game, so you cannot play this with other people. And this game will be on the channel more because I am having such a good time with this game, and it's a very, very solid game. Oh, that's cool. It has a little how to organize your Series 1 storage box. But let's go ahead and open this. Oh, sorry. I own that exact box. Very happy purchase. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Yeah, I was talking with them at Van Ryder, and they were saying that this is definitely the way to go if you're looking for it. I'm glad to hear that you enjoy it. I saw all of Season 1 and Season 2 on a site as a Kickstarter bundle for $350. I wish I had picked it up. That would have been, yeah, that's a pretty good price for it. They are doing a Season 3. They are doing a Season 3 Kickstarter. And so if you don't have an LGS that sells it, Series 3 is coming out. This storage is so freaking cool. So you have the core box, and if you have not seen Final Girl on the channel before, basically what you do is you have the core box that needed to play, and then you choose a feature film to play. And so if I wanted to play the Nightmare on Maple Lane, I could take this out. This top lid is the killer. These are magnetic. They pop off. And then the bottom, which this is covered by, I'll just go ahead and let me open the core actually, or the first one, the Happy Trails. So just so we can kind of see what, move that out of the way so we can get a focus. So each one of these, you need that core box to play, but each one of these also brings just a lot of options in for mix and match, because you can take any killer and play them at any location. And so you can mix and match. You do not have to play Hans at Happy Trails, but you can. You can. So these lids here are magnetic, and so these pop off, and then you have your killer board. And so you have all of your killer stuff here on this side of the box, and then whatever location you're doing, you pop this up, and then you have your location board as well. And so that's how you do, and you can mix and match these with anything in that core or anything in the box. Season 1 and 2 are all interchangeable, but each location and each killer has their own unique rules and just a lot of modularity in the game. What you are doing is you are what did I hit something? Everything good? Looks like my sound's still coming through. This is slick. Yeah. I'm also gonna open the this. No, this has to go in the other way. It has to look uniform. Oop. Yep. So this just has everything that you need for the entire everything that you need to play. If you don't have the core box, this is more financially efficient, because each one of these I think are about 20. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And I think this was like 160 or 180. No, Lorcana, Marvel Champions, Final Girl. Yep. I am really enjoying this game. But yeah, so you're playing the Final Girl, which is you're playing through like a horror flick, right? So Nightmare on Maple Lane. I'll give you 3 guesses of what that one is trying to simulate. Did you know that you can go to the Van Ryder site and make your own Final Girl item cards? I did not know that. That is the coolest thing I've ever heard. That's so cool. Who needs more money when you have games? Exactly. Money buys games. That's the only function of money in this world, I think. That's what I've heard, at least. Let's see if I can get this. I also really like how this playmat. Come on. It fits well. The tolerances are good. But yeah, so this looks like a VCR. But yeah, so I've started explaining this. Maybe I won't get sidetracked again. I keep sidetracking myself. Playing the Final Girl, and you're trying to take down the killer, and you get asymmetric powers based on the Final Girl. Each one of these boxes has 2 Final Girls in it, and you can play any of those in all of these as well. But you're trying to take down the killer at that location before they kill you. The presentation here is 10 out of 10. I need to watch some of the gameplay. Yeah, the gameplay is really solid. I am posting a review probably next week on the board game channel. So I was going to do it this week, but then Gencon. Did they announce Season 3 at Gencon? I don't know if it was announced at Gencon. Season 3 has been announced. Free download with art and everything. It's really cool. That's really solid. That's really fun. That's a really cool way to do that. Then comes the miniatures. They do have minis. I have the minis for Season 2. I haven't been playing with them on stream. They will be. I'll talk about them in the review, but on the stream, it's a little bit harder from the top-down view to see the minis. But if you're playing from like a gameplay perspective, amazing. But yeah, there's just so much modularity in the game and so much stuff that. Also, these mats are not necessary, but it's going to be hard to play without them. And they are different. So if you've seen the stream, you know that the map that I have, the Final Girl map that I have, looks a little bit different than this one. Oh, this is cool. It has like the spots for the additional spaces and stuff. So if I'm playing a Season 1, I'll play on the Season 1 map. If I'm playing a Season 2 game, I'll play on the Season 2 map. And I will be all in on the Season 3 Kickstarter, because, as Villain Theory states, what is money? Who needs money, right? Let's talk about the gameplay a little bit, because I really want to talk about gameplay, because I like this game so much. On your turn, basically, you are playing action cards. I really dislike you. I have no money. I take full responsibility. Um, uh, that's funny. On your turn, you're playing action cards from your hand, and those action cards will have a effect on time, and time is your resource in this game. And so, like if you play the walk card, you're gonna make a horror roll where you're gonna roll 2 dice, or you're gonna roll dice based on the current horror level. So this is what this track is here. So if you have brought the horror level down, you get to roll 3. Your middle section, you roll 2, and in the crazy, you're only rolling 1 horror dice. You watch D20 play, and I've watched you play. There's something about watching it unboxed. Yeah. I love this box. This box is so good. And so like if I'm in this white section, when I play a card, I'm going to make a horror roll, meaning that I'm going to roll 2 dice. On a 5 or a 6, it's considered a success. 1 or 2, it's considered a failure. On a 3 or a 4, you have the option of discarding 2 cards in order to make it a success. And so you have ways to mitigate the dice. And then based on the action, it will tell you how to manipulate time. You always start with 6 time and say, like, let's do, I think it's like walk. If you get 2 successes, you get to move 2 spaces and you reduce time by 1. Or like distraction. Distraction is another card in the game. If you get 2 successes, I think you like decrease horror and then you increase time by 1. And so there's a way to get time back. It's like, how much are you messing with that villain? But at any time, you can stop taking actions, and whatever time you have left is basically your currency to buy new cards for the next round. And so like your critical blow card is your big attack. It's the big swing. It can deal like 3 damage, which is significant in this game. That costs 6 time to buy. And so if you have 6, you can buy that card, put it into your hand, and then any cards that you played that turn are not available to be bought into your hand. They go back into the tableau after you've made all your purchasing decisions. And so it's this like really interesting flow of gameplay, because it's like I have had times where I've used all of my movement cards in one round and then I cannot move the next round because I have no access to movement. And so there's a lot of depth here to try and figure out exactly how and when you want to play some of these cards, and when to stop taking action so you can buy your better cards and better upgrades. All of your starting cards cost 0. You can always pick those up for free, but you have a hand limit of 10. And so there are times where you've been buying cards and maybe there's 5 cards in the 0 cost action space, but you have 7 cards in your hand. You can choose 3 of those to take. Then the killer takes their turn. They're going to do bad things. They're going to try and kill you. And that is the game. I'll do absolutely more gameplays of this. The one other thing that I will say is that before I started playing this game, I was a little concerned that it was going to be just a huge game, that it was just going to be like almost oppressive in how long it would be and how tedious it would be. This game, I think my average on gameplay right now is around 30 minutes. And so it's really easy to set up. It's really easy to play through, and you can knock out a lot of games. Like when I first started playing, I think I played 3 games kind of back to back to back, and it took me like 2.5 hours or so. And so because of the mix and match nature of this, it is just, it's a game that I have been very, very impressed with. Now with that box, it's really easy to tear down and put up as well. Yeah. And like I heard somebody say that they didn't think that it was super easy to set up. I didn't have that issue. I think that like with each one of these, I'll go back down to the top down. Like each one of these, like these pop out, and then after you've played the first time with each one of these like box killers and stuff, and so like this goes like right here just for like just to show, but once you have it kind of organized in like all your item cards and everything, and so you just like take them out. And I guess the playmat helps a lot. I will say that, because everything has its space. You just take everything out, set it, pick your killer, set that, and then you're ready to go. All of these, I just pulled these out. So these get pulled out, and like I just set these next to my board, and so I have easy access to any of the tokens or anything. So I'm not pulling any tokens out. And like I can set this game up in 5 minutes. It's not that hard to set up, but I have heard that as a complaint, and maybe I'm just missing something. The other cool thing about this is that each one of the final girls, let's look at a final girl. I'll show you the anatomy of a final girl card, which is like the character you're playing. Maybe I won't. No, they're on the other side. But each final girl has a special item that you can unlock if you, or once you win a game with that final girl. And so this one says that for Riku's eyes only, so do not open until you survived a game with Riku. And so wonder if this is, we'll see it here in a second. And then here's Lori's eyes. And so now on any future game that you use that final girl, you can take this item card. This is an item card, and shuffle that in with all of your other item cards, and maybe potentially find that. And so like here's Lori, here's Riku, and these are the this is the anatomy of like a final girl card. Whenever you save a victim, they go here, and whenever you cover, you get the abilities. So here, if I save this victim, I get to decrease horror by 1. Good stuff. And then once you have saved 6 or 5, you get to flip over, and then you get a ongoing benefit. So this is whenever you're in the same action space as an enemy and inflict damage, do an additional damage. That seems really good, actually. But so really solid game. Highly recommend this game. I plan on playing much more of this on the channel. We'll put this in here. But yeah, this was my, well, now that I unboxed it, I remember Lunar Rush. That may be my favorite, but I was really excited that I was able to pick up this box of Final Girl, just because there's so much replayability in this, and I'm really looking forward to playing more. I'm looking around seeing if there's anything else that I brought home. There really isn't. So yeah, I mean, like, Gencon was fantastic. If you get a chance to go to experience it, I would recommend doing so. It's a good time. There's a lot going on, and it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Catastrophic. I love Final Girl from the theme alone, but the way those components work, storage solution, makes me love it even more. I wish I could play it when I want a super skill based game, because a lot of it is luck based. There is a lot of luck in it, but I think that you can mitigate a lot of that luck with like the 3-4, and you're rolling a lot of dice, which then decreases the statistical likelihood of just bad rolling throughout the game. That being said, yeah, I mean, like, there is a lot of luck in the game, but it's not usually games that have just way too much luck. I'm not a fan of, whereas this one has just the right amount of luck, especially because it tells a really good story. But yeah, no, I agree with you that there is a good amount of luck in the game, but I think that leads to some fun storytelling details. But yeah, Gencon is a good time. There are other conventions out there if you're looking for maybe a more low-key one. Like, I think Origins this year was around like 12 to 15,000 people. Whereas Gencon, I don't think we have numbers yet, but was around 80,000. And so they're different cons. They're just different. And Origins and PAX are more about like playing games, and it's a more relaxing environment, whereas Gencon is go, see all the cool new stuff, play games, play the new hotness, all of that. So there are benefits to both, and they're both really good, or all of them are really good. But Gencon, I've been going since 2015, so this was my 8th year, like 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it was my 8th year because we skipped 2020. And so every single year I'm never bored, and I'm always having an absolute blast. But I really enjoy just seeing everything, meeting all the people. It's such a good time to just meet up with everybody. Ooh, I need to put Hans back. I think you've been burned a lot with certain killers in this game. It's pretty much lost by turn 2, 3, which sucks. Yeah, that does suck. But I also had games where it's very balanced and an awesome experience. Gencon sounds awesome, though. I've only really gotten into board gaming in the last few years, so it's still new to me. Nice. Well, welcome to the hobby. It's a wonderful hobby. I'm super happy you're here. And what I have heard is that season 1 is really good. Season 2 is much better. And so I've only played season 2, and so maybe a lot of that like kind of loss on turn 2 is mitigated, and as the design team has developed. But yeah, Gen Con is phenomenal. Really happy that you're in the hobby. It's such a good hobby. Everyone at Gen Con is so nice, and that's the other thing that I really appreciate about the hobby and about people in um in the hobby. And so, you know, how chaotic it was, like, when I got there at 6:45 a.m. To wait in line for Lorcana, we played games with 4 other people, like throughout just like the line. We brought games because we knew we were going to be there for a long time, and so we just sat on the floor and played games with strangers. And it's just such a welcoming environment. People are always up, and it's just like really cool to have so many people in the same space of something that everybody loves, and it's just a special environment. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm still on my nap schedule uh because it's been busy, catastrophic. I noticed the board game community are very welcoming. Some TCGs, yes, I would say that the TCG community is a different story. And if you're only experienced with like communities from a board game card games perspective as TCGs, just know that board games is way different. Way different. TCGs are very competitive and can be there are some communities out there that are toxic. Whereas I with board games, I don't think I get that at all. So thank you all for hanging out. I had talked about Gen Con for almost 2.5 hours. So that goes to show you how much I just enjoy the hobby and enjoy Gen Con. But I do also plan on filming just kind of a abbreviated version where I talk about some of the games and some of the um, stuff going on at Gen Con, top 3 games and all that stuff. That's probably going to be out later this week, but that is coming up on the Nelson All Over channel. And yeah, so gonna be doing the card games. I'll film that one later, and then I'll do the board games as well. But I hope everyone has a phenomenal rest of their week. Happy Wednesday, it's hump day. I will see you all on Friday. I'm gonna be doing Lord of the Rings. My next stream is gonna be Lord of the Rings. I realized, or someone brought it to my attention that I cheated, unintentionally cheated on my last um my last game. So we're gonna replay that one because it was pretty significant. Whereas, like, I thought my threats, you lose in Lord of the Rings if your threat hits 50. I thought my threat was at like 48. It was really at like 65. So that one's on me. So we're gonna replay that one and hopefully knock that one out and be able to move on. And I'm hoping to get 2 done on Friday. But that's gonna be the next. It's gonna be 10 a.m. Eastern time. Hope to see you all there. Thank you all so very much for hanging out. It means a ton. It means the world. If you have any questions about Gen Con, let me know either on Discord or on YouTube. I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate it. Good luck on Lord of the Rings. Peace. Peace, team. Bye.